Well, hi again, Beaver Nation. It is a pleasure to welcome the final member of Wayne Tinkle's first staff at Oregon State University. He's Stephen Thompson. Coach Thompson, welcome to Beaver Nation.
All right, thank you. Glad to be here.
Tell us how it came about for you in this opportunity.
Well, when the position became available, I just wanted to contact Coach Tinkle and let him know of my interest in joining his staff, and through several conversations, and we met in Portland a couple of weeks ago, and it just seemed to fit. It just seemed to work. Very similar philosophies on basketball, and life and family. So we had a lot in common, and I think that was one of the big reasons why I'm sitting here today.
That philosophical foundation that you touch on is vital, and I've heard it from Coaches Gottlieb and Coach Rupp, as well, of course, as Wayne Tinkle. That's vital. The basketball part of it, and what you teach and coach. I've read and heard that you're kind of a defensive-minded guy first. Would you say, yeah, that's me?
Yes, I would. I would say I believe to win, and to win at a high level, and to win championships, you've got to be able to defend. And I think that's in all sports. And so if you can have a great defense, you always give your team a chance to be in the ball game. And so getting them to play hard on defense, getting them to play together on defense, getting them to believe in defense makes your team successful. So that's what I'm about. And it also helps you on the offense. If you create opportunity, your defense can be a way to create opportunities on the offense for you as well. So, but really like getting after it on defense. And if you look at my playing career, people will say, "Oh, he scored a lot of points wherever he was." Well, that was because I was able to play defense and get me more possessions. If I get more possessions with the basketball, I'll have more opportunity to score.
Well, your career is legendary at Syracuse, one of the great players ever in one of the nation's finest programs. You went to the tournament all 4 years under Coach Boeheim, including playing in the title game. You played 15 games in the tournament. There's only one guy ahead of you in the history of the NCAA tournament for field goal percentage. His name's Bill Walton, if you've ever heard of him. You're second on that list. So obviously at 68% shooting, you were doing something right. Tell us about your offense and your game.
Well, I also believe on that offensive end, you got to take good shots, and shot selection is important. When I played, I was a guy that attacked the rim and got in transition, and I was made a lot of my living around the basket, and so I knew what I can do, and I knew what my abilities allowed me to do, and I didn't try to do things that I couldn't do. That's why I shot a high percentage. And the last NCAA tournament game we lost, I remember throwing up a couple of shots at the buzzer to try to, to try to get us back. If I'd have known I was that close to having the record, I probably wouldn't have shot those shots. But it's just about knowing who you are, what your abilities are, and taking good shots at that end of the court, and don't try to do things that you can't do.
Bill Walton's 21 of 22 is a tough one to overcome. That gets him over the hump, and it's tough to deal with that. But in terms of your own game, and you talk about playing around the rim, you're 6'3", and yet you played some forward at Syracuse. Tell us a little bit about how, with that small frame, to be able to play above the rim, and when these qualities began to develop in your game.
Well, I think too, it leads back to my philosophy on defense. It's effort. You got to have the mindset of, no matter your size, no matter what you may be deficient in, you got to have the will to get the job done. And I think that's one of the things that I bring across to the players I coach as well. You can't make excuses. You've got to go out there and get it done. And an example of it is my playing career. I remember my days at Syracuse, Georgetown, they had Mutombo and Alonzo Mourning at the same time, and I couldn't say, oh, these guys are the greatest shot blockers ever. I had to go in here and get this job done, and whatever it took. And so that's kind of the mindset, and that's what I kind of bring to the table as a player, but also that's what I bring to the table to get that point across and bring that out of the players that I coach as well. You got to go out and roll your sleeves up, and let's get the job done.
You were also telling me off the air in the conversation that baseball was kind of your sport growing up, but then ninth grade growth spurt, your leaping ability, you dunked a basketball in ninth grade, and that was it. You were sold on hoops from that point.
Yeah,
huh?
it was growing up. It was baseball, and in the neighborhood, we would get out in the street there and have baseball games going on, and that was my sport. And then I was always a pretty good athlete, but I wouldn't say I was one of these guys as a seventh grade. I think I was able to dunk the ball as a ninth grader. I wouldn't say I was 360ing or doing all this stuff there. I was a good athlete, but I remember seeing my ninth grade year, the Final Four, and it was the Houston Cougars versus Louisville. It must have been 20 dunks in this game, and it was Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler against the McCray brothers at Louisville. And so I said, I want to do that. That's exciting to me. And I started working on my jumping ability, jumping rope every night, and I think the highest I measured a measurement, I should say, was 44 inches.
Oh.
So I said that's kind of what got me going and put me on the side of basketball as opposed to baseball.
And we've already touched a little bit on you choose coming out of Crenshaw High in L.A. You're recruited by the SC, UCLA, and so on, but you ended up going a long way from home to Syracuse. As it turns out, a great life decision. Tell us not only about your own individual numbers that we've touched on, but the teammates there.
Yeah.
Unbelievable talent.
Yeah, I played with some of the greatest players, to play this game, and I believe 8 guys during my time there, played some in the NBA.
Including yourself.
Including myself. And, guys like Derek Coleman, who was a #1 pick, Billy Owens was a 3rd pick, Sherman Douglas and Ronnie Cycli were, I don't know if they were lottery picks, but they were first-round picks, along with Dave Johnson and LaRon Ellis. So there's been a lot of guys, might be missing some too, but there's been a lot of great talent that I had a chance to play with while at Syracuse. But the one thing about it, though, playing with all that talent, when you amass a lot of talent, sometimes it doesn't always mesh. But the guys I played with were very unselfish players and great players, and they were all about team. And so we were able to make it work.
At that same time frame, well, you're 86, 87 as a freshman and played in the title game against Indiana, which, by the way, has to be a heartbreaking kind of moment.
Yes.
But you had to relive it over and over again not long thereafter, with Keith Smart. Tell us about that.
Well, after my rookie year of playing professional ball, I was in the CBA, and Keith Smart was my teammate and roommate, and so we had some long talks about that. But he was a great guy. He would joke about it. He didn't rub it in too much, because now I can talk about it a little better now. But back then it was still too close. And so, but yeah, he hit the game-winning shot on us, and a great shot. But he had let me know it a little bit, but a good guy, real good guy.
Now, speaking of guys letting you know, I mentioned 86, 87 is the same year a guy named Gary Payton began a career at Oregon State. And you guys were Californians. Gary, of course, in Oakland, you're in the Southland. And you kind of, almost from the beginnings of your collegiate career, you began to become acquainted and friends, and still are. But tell us about some of those early days with Gary.
Well, we like you said, he's coming from Northern California, and I'm from L.A., And at that time, my high school, we were #1 in the state. We won the state championship that year. I was a McDonald's All-American coming out of the state, and Gary was doing his thing up north, but we didn't get a chance to play each other. And so, I kind of heard of him, but I think he had, like, who is this Thompson guy getting all this publicity? I'm the best guard in California, and so. I didn't get a chance to meet him until the summer after our freshman years of college. We were teammates in the Junior World Championship team, and we represented the U.S. on that team, and so we were teammates. And so I remember one of the initial meetings, he came up and kind of gave me that look, Thompson, huh? Yeah, I remember you. I'm the man from California. And he was like, yeah, look what's happening now. And I believe he was the freshman of the year in the country. And he was like, yeah, you might have gotten that, but this is what I am now. but real good guy. And you know, in the times we see each other, we don't see each other often. But I remember last fall was the last time I saw him. Both our sons, our younger sons, were in a basketball camp in LA, and just really nice to see him. Just so proud of the accomplishments and the achievements that he's had over the years. You know, not only here at Oregon State, but also professionally as well. So Hall of Fame guy there. So.
And a guy that would certainly subscribe to you play defense. A lot of good things are going to happen.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly.
You mentioned one of your sons, but Stephen. Will be a senior at Bishop Montgomery High School and is one of the highly recruited players in the country. And so, of course, Beaver Nation would want me to ask you, as I asked Coach Tinkle about Trace, his son, Hellgate High, Missoula, and so on. Is it too early now, or what's your feel about what Stephen Jr. and his future might be collegiately? You want to let him go through the whole process and make his own decision?
I think, you know, the situation here at Oregon State has happened so quickly, so I haven't really had a chance to really talk to him about what's, you know, what he thinks about it and what's going on. And you know, he's been recruited now, being recruited for a long period of time here now. So he's kind of, you know, at the in the process. So I think right now we'll just kind of let him go through the process, and when I get a chance to corner him in the room, I'll give him, hey, this is what I think. So yeah.
As you said, it happens quickly. So here you are. You've got the Beaver gear on. You're coaching for Oregon State. What do you do now? What's next for you in these next few weeks and so on? What your marching orders are, so to speak, as part of Coach Tinkle's staff?
Yeah, we're just initially just coming in, getting acclimated to the university and to everybody here. And first couple, you know, this is just two days in, and it's just you know, everybody's been so nice, and it's been great up here thus far. So getting to learn Coach Tinkle and what he wants out of you know, the day-to-day operate. I understand pretty good his philosophy and what he thinks, but learning his system, learning what he expects, learning what to hold these kids accountable for, you know, getting with the other coaches and getting to know them and learn them. These are the things in the next few weeks or the coming time period that I will be getting familiar with and adjusting to.
And I know it's too early to have a full feel for it, but you had a message to share with Coach Tinkle, and he said, I want you part of what I'm doing here at Oregon State, and you'll be recruiting. When you look around at this very center that we're in, the OSU Basketball Center, and your thoughts about recruiting to Oregon State, I know it's early in the process for you, but what are your thoughts, and what about Oregon State in the basketball world?
My initial thoughts, you know, like I said, I'm only a couple days in, so I'm around town trying to find different places to live and all that. This is the perfect place. I don't want to leave this building right here. If I could live it here, this is great. And you know, in today's in the recruiting world, these, you know, a facility like this means a lot to these recruits, and having a place to, you know, where you can really, you know, you can call it home. And this is what you know, the recruits look for, and being able to come in here and not only just practice, but to, you know, have an opportunity to study, have an opportunity to, you know, watch film, have an opportunity to just lounge and eat their lunch, and all these things. So this is great, and it doesn't get much better than this.